I thought they should have acted quicker, but it's a cold winter and a lot of the...
On the Washington-Brussels axis, one of history's biggest diplomatic crises erupted not quietly, but with a bang. There is a peace plan on the table, but European allies see it not as peace, but as surrender. According to information verified by Reuters and the BBC, the 28-point draft prepared by the US administration has caused shockwaves in European capitals. The 28-point draft is not just an ordinary ceasefire proposal. It is a vision document that redefines Europe's security architecture, economic obligations, and Ukraine's future. Faced with this plan, to which Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is expected to respond by Thanksgiving, he finds himself, in his own words, facing the most difficult choice in history: either to protect his honor or to risk losing the support of a key partner.
The pressure on Ukraine is currently one of the heaviest. Now Ukraine have a very difficult choice: either loss of dignity or the risk of losing a key partner. Either the difficult 28 points or an extremely difficult winter, the hardest and further risks.
Zelensky summarizes the situation by saying, "We are being asked to trust Russia, which has betrayed us twice," while feeling the pressure from Washington. However, the real breaking point lies in the repercussions this plan has created in European capitals. From London to Berlin, Paris to Warsaw, European leaders are triggering their strategic autonomy reflexes more forcefully than ever in response to these provisions, which were shaped without consulting them and directly affect the continent's security. Diplomats are speaking plainly. Europe will not approve any territorial concessions from Kiev. Europe is questioning not only the war, but also its place in the new world order that will be established after the war. This gap between Washington's get-the-job-done approach and Europe's existential security concerns is putting the Atlantic Alliance to a test unlike any it has ever faced before. Today, we analyze the codes of those 28 articles and why Europe says this plan as it stands is unacceptable, delving into the deepest layers of diplomatic chess. At the epicenter of this diplomatic earthquake is a 28-point draft text, details of which were shared by Axios, allegedly resulting from talks between White House Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and his Russian counterpart, Kirill Dmitriev. Contrary to diplomatic norms, this text, which is said to have been developed without the direct involvement of European Union officials or even Kiev, is seen as a reflection of the quick fix doctrine. However, what alarms European foreign ministers and strategists is not so much the existence of the plan as the specific technical and economic details it contains. Let's take a closer look at those critical points that have created a cold shower effect in the corridors of Brussels, with the meticulousness of an OSINT analyst. First, the collapse of the defense doctrine, Articles 6 and 8. In terms of security, two articles stand out that contradict Europe's principle of deterrence. Article 6 proposes limiting the Ukrainian army's personnel to 600,000. According to European Security Council experts, demanding that the attacked party, the victim, reduce its army would leave Europe's eastern flank vulnerable to a possible future Russian move. Estonian Parliament Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Marko Mihkelson's warning that if Ukraine accepts this, there will be no Ukraine left, sums up the existential concern this clause has created in the Baltic states. Added to this, Article 8 prohibits the deployment of NATO troops in Ukraine. However, while the UK and France are planning a peacekeeping force or training missions after the ceasefire, this article makes Europe's plans for a physical presence on the ground legally impossible. Second, sovereignty crisis, Article 9 and Poland's reaction. Perhaps the moment when diplomatic courtesy was most strained came with the emergence of the article concerning Poland. Article 9 states that European warplanes will be deployed in Poland. However, the problem is that, according to statements by Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, Warsaw was not consulted on this matter beforehand. Tusk's statement that Poles make decisions about Poland, nothing happens about us without us, is proof that the 28-point plan challenges not only Ukraine, but also the sovereignty of NATO's most loyal members. When the divergence in vision between Brussels and Washington became clear, an unexpected action reflex was triggered in European capitals, instead of the expected acceptance. Diplomatic sources indicate that Europe is preparing to implement its Plan B,